La liberté.
Families.
And at the time, we still didn't know what trans was.
Yes, they are trans, but that's not their title. That's not who they are.
I wish I'd known sooner.
In transition. In families in transition.
I wouldn't change my child for the world.
I wish I could say to myself, put your fears to rest. Your kid's gonna be fine.
They know who they are. How did you find out who you are? I don't know who I am.
But at the end of the day, my daughter said it to us best. I'm not my transness. I'm your daughter.
When someone in the family transitions, the whole family transitions.
Families in Transition, a podcast by La Liberté. Welcome to Families in Transition, a podcast series exploring what it means for families to grow, question, and transform alongside their child's gender journey. In this series, you'll hear our host, France. This project begins with her story. As the mother of an adult transgender daughter, she found herself searching for something more, other parents to speak with, other stories to listen to, other ways of understanding. Out of that search, this space was created, a place for meaningful encounters and honest conversations, where experiences are shared and a common language begins to take shape.
And in some episodes, like this one, you'll hear me alongside France. I'm Chelsea, journalist at La Liberté, co-host of the series, and a transgender woman. I'm always curious to listen, to understand, and to share my lived experiences in the hopes of bringing families even closer.
In this episode, we sit down with Alba, a mother of 2 adult transgender children and the founder of PFADI, Parents, Families, and Friends of Transgender Individuals, a support group she has been running here in Winnipeg for nearly 2 decades. Together, we talk about the early days, the fear, the isolation, the search for answers, and about the power of parents finding one another in community. We explore what it truly means to transition, not alone, but as a family.
Thanks so much for being here today. It's a conversation between the 3 of us, Chelsea, France, and Alba. But to start, just tell me a little bit about you. Who is Alba?
Oh, that's easy, but not that easy. But anyway, so my name is Alba. My pronouns are she, they. I come from Nicaragua. I came to Canada, Winnipeg, 37 years ago. I have 2 wonderful children, adult children now. So I came with no English, 1-year-old kid, and tried to find a place where we can be safe, right? So, we are a Spanish-speaking family. So we are Latinos, so culture, we're very attached to community, culture, the food. So
I'll come to your place.
you
for
should.
food. Yes.
We love to have people over. My family are Catholic. I was raised Catholic. So I had a Catholic upbringing, part of the queer community myself. My kids grew up in a homoparental household. I was always out to them. I have 2 wonderful children. They are both trans. I create perfect babies.
Oh, love it.
But anyway, so my son came out as trans like 20 years ago. And we didn't have no trans health. There was really nothing out there. So when he told me that he was trans, the only thing, me being part of the queer community myself, identifying at the point as a lesbian, I was very worried because I knew already how society and the world, they are not very kind to people that we are different than the norm. So I kind of had a glimpse what my kid was going to be facing. But I never connected really with the queer community. But when my son came out, that's when I need to do something. So
Because your community was not answering those questions for you.
because it's a very lonely place when you have a trans kid and you have no information. The thing for me was, please let me walk this journey with you. I knew that I needed to educate myself, inform myself, do something to be able to support my child. no matter what, this is my child, and I love my children, right? It's like, and the mama bear in me came out right away. What do I do? What can we do? And he said, yeah, we can walk this together.
20 years old
No, he
when?
was,
No.
because he's 39 now.
So
So
he was
he was,
19.
yeah, around that. Yeah,
19 years old
yeah,
when he came
yeah,
out.
yeah. He was in a relationship. What is going to happen to the relationship? Is he going to find somebody to love him? Is he going to find a job? Is he going to be discriminated against at anywhere he goes? And one of my biggest worry was like, nobody will be able to see what a wonderful human being he is, how artistic, how such a good person he is, and that people were going to put a label on him. And that was one of my worries. So I think my journey has been so wonderful now. And if I look back, I wish I could say to myself, don't be so afraid. Put your fears to rest. Your kid's going to be fine. But I needed to find somebody, someone, somewhere. I felt like I was drowning and with no one to say, hey. And I had a wonderful friend here. I have friends and I had community, but it didn't matter how much I spoke. They couldn't really grasp what it was because there were a lot of feelings attached. I didn't know. And as a parent, like when your child is that age, you're not pretty involved in the transition itself, whatever it's going to look like. We are kind of passengers in this bus. So it was up to him what he was going to do, how he was going to do it. I was just there to support. So I didn't understand a lot, and he knew everything. He already had done his homework. He already knew what he wanted to do. He was talking about hormones, therapy. He was talking about surgeries. He was talking about a bunch of stuff. And I had no clue. So now it's different. We're learning more. We have language. Before we didn't. And also that I think the gender journey is not linear. Kids are discovering more and more about themselves, adults too. And that's the thing, like a gender journey is not linear, right? It has a lot of ins and outs and self discovery and being at peace with yourself. That's why we're doing this, right? For people to find language, to find ways to honor who they are. And I think that's so important. That's such a powerful tool to give your kids language so they can say, this is the journey that I'm in. And for us as parents not to be afraid and allow them to explore because it is okay.
And like you said, it's a discovery because you don't know this right away. It's like a journey. It's lots of reading. It's researching on the part of your son. Was that the same thing for you, Chelsea? Do you feel that coming out as trans was a journey? Did you come out
Oh,
first?
goodness. Yeah, no. I was, 13 or 14 when I realized that I was bi. And I came out to my friends and everything all through my adolescence. I was pretty openly bi. But I also knew that there was something gendery going on with me. And very, very early on, I figured out, like, okay, I know the word, like, transgender. Perhaps that, applies to me. Maybe I am a transgender girl. And then as I'm going through high school, meeting other people in the community, other people with different gender identities, I start hearing about being non-binary, about being gender fluid, about being bigender. And these are all things that I sort of try on, these things that I start trying for myself, being like, oh, I'm gender fluid. Actually, I'm non-binary. And yeah, it was a journey of that, of going through each one and being like, which one maybe am I? Until it got to a point where I realized, not even at the end of my journey, because the journey keeps going, but at a certain point, I realized none of these work for me because I'm trying these on to hold on to the stability of being perceived in some way as not a trans woman, but in reality, that's what I am. That's what I want to be. And I was like, okay, I just have to get over this hurdle, this fear, this idea that might make other people uncomfortable and just start living for me. And that's when around age 20, I was like, all right, trans it is.
It's like putting words, finally being able to put words to how you feel, right? Because I think that's the mix feeling about all of this. It's like it's not like you have to discover it yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a slow process, basically. I want to go back to something you said about feeling lonely when your child came out as trans, and that what was out there there was nothing. And so 18 years ago, you started this group.
I was looking for resources. I didn't know where to go. So I found a group out of Rainbow Resource Center, a PFLEG meetings. That's for parents of lesbian and gays. So they were running groups. So I went, and there were a few parents talking about the kids being gay. I'm like sitting there because I wanted to connect with parents. And then I met another mom that had a trans son as well. So when I met her, it was like, she spoke the same language. We connected right away. We started talking. Her worries were the same as mine, her fears, her feelings. It was like, wow. And then we were talking like our kids were talking about hormone therapy, probably surgeries and this and that. And that was totally different than having just a gay child. We were facing a lot of different scenarios that we really didn't know how to go about. And so we exchanged names and numbers. So we used to call each other. We used to talk, kind of cried a little bit if what we were talking about. So, and then she said one day, why don't we start a group? There must be others out there. And I'm like, because we met two other parents that were coming to that PFLEG meeting that have trans children too. So we realized there's others. It's like being in a whole new planet. And it's like you find other signs of life. It's like, oh, wow, there are others. Like, let's start a group. I'm like, for sure. That's how parents, family, and friends of trans individuals came alive. For the first 3 years, no one came. It was two of us most of the time.
Okay.
Right after, I was asked to be a part of Rainbow Resource Center board of directors. A person there that was the board of directors, the president, was a trans woman. She's a trans woman. And she gave me this advice that she said, don't give up. Groups are like that. You have to keep going. Eventually, someone will show up. So, and I took that to heart. For 3 years, we keep showing up every month. We will bring coffee. We will take the coffee back because nobody came. But after the second, third year, people start coming. And people are still coming.
You said at some point the transition is not individual, it's collective.
When someone in the family transitions, the whole family transitions, because we all need to make adjustments because we live in a very cisgender binary world. And without wanting, if we don't challenge that, we're going to be causing harm. So we have to be really aware of that. So we talked a lot about that. And also because there's a lot of feelings involved from both sides, for the person that is transitioning and for the family too. I always say to my parents, like, we need to honor what we feel because there's a lot of love there. Because everyone that comes to my group is full of love.
Yes.
They want to support their child.
But they have their things to go through.
They need to do the labor to be able, because we need, but at the same time, I said, you need to honor what you're feeling because it's real and valid. And one thing doesn't take away from the other. That you're feeling those feelings doesn't mean that you don't love your child and that you don't want your child to transition. That means that you need to do a little bit of work to be able to be affirming and supportive and to have, because the main thing for us as parents is to have a good relationship with our children, for our children to feel that we are there for them. And for that, we need to kind of unlearn and decolonize a lot of things that we have been fed about what gender is. So we need to kind of challenge ourselves.
When I'd first come out to my family, this was an identity that, again, in and out, sort of weaving in and out of the different identities, but I always knew that it was sort of some kind of trans identity. And even going through it as a teenager, there were parts of my life where I would sort of come into, I don't want to say confrontation, but conflict with my mom about certain things about it. And then when I fully came out as a trans woman at 20, I'm not going to speak for her, but at least from my experience, I was very raw, and having had that sort of prior conflict with her, the biggest thing I was scared of was losing my relationship with my mom. But what she's told me is that what she was most scared of was how dangerous a world it is to be trans in, and being scared of something happening to me or losing me. And things have happened to me. It's definitely scary. As a trans child, it was very much an experience of, I know it's scary, but I want you to be there to support me and to help keep me safe. I don't want to be someone to be scared of as well. She started going to Pafadi, and she says that, it helped put a lot of her fears at ease, helped give her the language to understand what I was going through, the language that, would help me. And you're right, because at the time, again, I was really raw. Had she been asking me some of the questions she might have asked in those groups, I probably would have